all the performance marketing I'm doing right now. I spend $400 a month on YouTube ads, and I make between $20,000 and $40,000 in return. That's preposterous. Let me tell you how.
What is going on, Replo fam? It is your boy Sanjay Jenkins coming at you from a very cold Dallas, Texas. And I'm joined by Trevor from Crowd Tamers, who is in an even colder place. But the content that we're going to talk about today, we're basically going to help founders make $1 million this year. That is the goal of this particular episode. I met Trevor a week ago, and he has been just absolutely just generous with his knowledge. Trevor, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining us. I'm really stoked for this because I think our audience and I will also learn a metric ton of information today. That's going to be valuable. So tell us a little bit. Let's just jump in. When we were talking about, right before we started recording, the goal is we're trying to get people to make $1 million a year. Founders to make $1 million a year. Many times, maybe the first $1 million they've ever made. Walk us through it. Where do we start?
Sure. So let me give you a tiny bit of background on me. I'm Trevor. I run Crowd Tamers, as it says down here in the corner. We're an agency that builds $1 million marketing engines. I built, I think, 119 of them in the last 4 years. So what I'm coming to you with is not like, hey, I got lucky once and this is how you do it. If I got lucky, I am super lucky. I got lucky 120 times. I think rather this is a system that is dependable. And what I want to do and what I've been doing for years now is telling other people how to do this, because yes, I've building and making this is how I grow my business, but it is also telling other people how to do it. All of you listening have great ideas for businesses, and I can't have 90,000 clients, but I can tell 90,000 people how you do it, and if I make you successful, I'll call that a karmic win for me. So the basic idea here is when you built more than a dozen $1 million marketing engines, it is not because you're such a brilliant marketer, but because you understand how to have the market tell you how it wants to be sold. And for anybody listening here, your product, your audience, your messaging, all of it, you've grown to 10 a month, 20 a month, 40 a month, 80 a month, wherever you are. You've gotten there because you had a good first instinct frequently, and you were able to reach a point where it's going. Maybe you're stuck now. A lot of my clients right now, they do $1-2 million a year, and they can't grow bigger. And it's because they don't understand really how to find the best message for their crowd. And the three things you need to make $1 million marketing engine: you need a crowd, a group of people who want what you have to sell. That's the crowd in Crowd Tamers. That's why I chose the name. It's because we help define a crowd for you, but you can do it too, and it's actually really simple. There are 3 core ideas I'm going to teach you today. The first one is the minimum viable sprint. A minimum viable sprint is the tiniest bit of marketing you can possibly do to learn who your crowd is and what offer you can use to start a conversation. That's one of the 3 things you need to make $1 million marketing engine: crowd, conversation, and confidence, right? Starting conversation. Now, conversation doesn't have to mean a dialogue, right? If I see your ad and I click on it, we've started a conversation even though you might not know, because I saw something from you when I began a buyer's journey. So what's the minimum version of an ad that I can run? Well, the easiest way I know of to run ads to test a crowd is you go to Meta, or maybe you go to LinkedIn, and you're going to run display ads. Display ads are kind of the garbage of the advertising world because you're doing something else. You're scrolling Ariana Grande videos or whatever, and then something shows up that you don't want.
It's Doja Cat. It's definitely Doja Cat for me.
Definitely. And it is like that garbage ad. People game it, right? You're like, hey, I'll put a picture of a donut on an ad. You'll click on it because you love donuts, or a picture of, I don't know, a hot person of either gender, so you click on it. Like, okay, yes, yep. But when you're clicking on that, it's because you saw the thing you wanted. Ooh, I'd love donuts. Ooh, donuts, right? When we're testing your messaging, we can't game the system like that, or all we know is people like donuts. So when we do a minimum viable sprint, we're doing display ads on LinkedIn or on Meta, and we're doing plain text on a plain background. No graphics of any kind. And here's the other key. We're going to make it a $100 ad campaign, which is stupidly cheap, and we're going to run it for 48 hours, which is stupidly short. This is minimum viable sprints, right? We're not doing maximum viable sprints. $100, 48 hours. And what we see here is we want to get fundamentally, I'm doing math for you here in statistics. I want to take 4 different ad units to one audience or one ad unit to 4 different audiences and spend $100. What I'm looking for is at least 1,000 impressions per ad. Because with that, I'm going to be measuring the click-through rate. Now, if you're an experienced marketer, you know click-through rate's a stupid measure for a full marketing engine, but this is the minimum version of it. We just want to see, it's a one-question survey. Do you want whatever's on this ad? And while you're scrolling your Ariana Grande video, if you see the ad and you go, yes, I want it, with no flashy text, no animations, nothing to draw your eye, that means the pain of what this ad is going to solve is top of mind. So I want to see better than one.
I'm going to interject really fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the reason why I want to interject is one of the things that I talk about a lot, because like for people that are completely new to ads, is what you're really doing when you're spending money is you're buying data. And
yes.
The 2 levers, really the main lever being your budget, your daily budget, that is simply a multiplier of time. Like you're accelerating like the speed with which you collect the data. And that's what I love about this like minimum viable sprint philosophy. And I'm really excited for you. I'm sorry for taking you off the road, but I really wanted to kind of interject and say like what Trevor is suggesting here is you're time traveling to get more data faster. And I just love this. So I'll let you back, but I did want to interject and say that.
That is an awesome point. And this is like when you build a business, you can trade money or time. They're kind of either one. And I would note, I can make more money. I've yet to figure out how to make more time.
Yes, facts.
So whenever the option comes up, I would much rather spend the money. And what I love to do is spend the money on an ad campaign on a $100 sprint that sucks and no one wants it. Because that means I didn't spend weeks building out the whole campaign and then figure out it sucks. I spent 1 hour, bought the ads, went away from Facebook for 2 days, came back and went, oh, nobody wants that. What a relief. I can now iterate and find the thing that works again. I could be wrong 10 times in a row and have spent $1,000. What a value compared to launching. Let's say it takes me 2 weeks to prep a full campaign. Right? 20 weeks, that's half a year of being wrong over and over and over again. Or if I run 2 or 3 at a time, maybe 2 weeks and $1,000 to be, no, this works, Trevor. You suck as a marketer. Go back and try again. Right? Yeah. Such a value. So, okay, minimum viable sprints, we run these ads, 1% click-through rate. That's the success metric. Because across all of display ads, your average click-through rate tends to be about 0.7%. So if you're in the top third of, that's one standard deviation beyond the mean, to use scary math term, right? Top third of ads running with an ad with no graphics and no time to train the AI, you know you've got something going. So then you take that minimum viable sprint and you learn from it. Now there's an important caveat here. You want to make messaging that speaks to your client's pain, not what you've built. I see this all the time. Someone goes, we're the world's best solution for thing. No one cares about you. And not just like you specifically, like generally in your life, you care about yourself. Everybody else out there wants crap from you and you're like, no, I'm busy, go away. So you've got to frame what you talk about in your minimum viable sprints and honestly in all of your marketing around what is the pain I solve for my client. I'll give you an example because I did my marketing, unsurprisingly, for Crowd Tamers. And when you go to our website, it says, we build $1 million marketing engines guaranteed. And there's a lot packed in those just couple of words. One is, if you're making $20 million a year, you probably don't care about $1 million engine. That's fine. You're not my client. If you're looking to do PR, you don't want a marketing engine. You go away. Right? I've told you with this, the pain I solve. I've also told a whole bunch of people, don't talk to me. I don't solve your pain. That's really important too. If you're selling, I don't know, Yeezys, as an example, you don't want probably a 85-year-old grandma showing up. She's probably not going to be wearing those fits to sew a stylish Yeezy out, right? Like that's not her thing. Okay. You need your language to speak to the pain and decline people who aren't going to want your product anyway. So, okay, you frame up your solution-oriented, your pain-oriented language, you test it. Now you're going to get feedback from the audience. This is the pain. This is the thing I want you to solve for me. Now, there's two things you can do. One is you can just run, like make real ads, put graphics on it, make a landing page that talks about that thing. And then, crucially, if I go to the landing page, like in the e-com space, obviously you check out and you buy the thing. But then so many people, I see this in the agency world all the time. They say, hey, we're going to help, I don't know, your Amazon checkout. Like, we'll improve your Amazon average order size through sorcery, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. And then you onboard into product, and it's the standard onboarding. Hey, welcome to Tool Name. Here's how I do 1, 2, and 3. You're like, hey, you got all this momentum. They saw an ad, they saw a landing page, they love it. They go into the app, and you say, here's a map of the entire country of the United States. Good luck finding Pasadena, New Mexico. Right?
And that's my biggest frustration with and especially like this is true both on the software side and the agency side, like all these call funnels, right? You do all this fancy like top of funnel stuff. You get them in, you get them via cell, you've got the email, you're doing all the, and then you get it, you send them to a calendar booking page, they book, and then it says, it's like Calendly's default, thanks, your meeting's confirmed. Instead of being like, hey, like watch this, like here's how you get value out of our like our time together, stuff you can do before, here's like freebies, like all of this. And then on the e-com side, you know, you send people to, okay, so obviously the generic like Shopify thank you page, but you do have the ability to kind of redirect and say, hey, here's like how, like drip them into a sequence of, here's how to use the product, here's what you can expect, like all these sorts of things. So I think what you're saying needs to be said like 10 times louder. All the people in the back need to hear this. Like you have, as you said, so much momentum, and people are just like, just saying, okay, wasted. Cool. Like, it's totally wasted.
And the one I get a lot when I work with agencies is you do that Calendly booking, and then you show up to the sales call, and they say, hey, so what can I help you with today? It's like, you dumb. Like,
you can swear on the podcast.
They told you. They clicked on an ad. Like, you need to start the conversation with, so this is what's bad. Like, this is the marketing thing you need. Let me show you how good we are at it. Because then they're going to go, oh, wow, you know your stuff. That's what this is all about. So, actually, the 3 C's to build your $1 million marketing engine, right? Your crowd, your conversations, and then confidence is the third one. People have to believe you're going to fix their problem. And if you've got momentum all the way up until they're in product or they're in the sales call, and you muff it, there's the confidence gone. Good luck. Hope you close the deal. So, how do you build confidence? Let me discuss the other part of basically the foolproof $1 million marketing engine. So one is you run these minimum viable sprints. You find your crowd. You find the most efficient way to start conversations. You drive them to buy or to book a call or whatever your conversion is. This is cold traffic into a cold discovery, and then hopefully you can win them on the upsell. Cold traffic is low conversion and kind of expensive because at every step you're losing 80%, 90%, 95% of the traffic. When you understand your crowd and you understand how to start that conversation, you've been told everything you need to know to build up their confidence in you. And the real life hack, the real go-to-market hack here is you can build up their confidence in you before you ever try to sell to them. And this is my highest ROI channel of all the performance marketing I'm doing right now. I spend $400 a month on YouTube ads, and I make between $20,000 and $40,000 in return. That's preposterous. Let me tell you how. This begins with you need content to build up confidence. People need to see you can solve their problem. And there are 2 types of content you'll tend to get. If you're in the e-com space, usually UGC is going to lead the way on content. And there's a bunch of ways to get UGC. I don't have to go into them. Influencer campaigns, do your own outreach, like fake UGC, whatever.
We have so many episodes on this podcast specifically where we talk about UGC, how to get it, all the different ways. So that's a covered topic.
Go learn from Replo. Sanjay knows his stuff on this, and you can learn about that. So if you've got the content, now what do we do? So you know who your buyer is. You learn with minimum viable sprints. Ideally, your buyer should be more than a couple thousand people. Now we start to say there are, if you're B2C or D2C, the probably best and really overlooked targeting options you have for buying ads is actually YouTube. YouTube can target in all kinds of weird orthogonal ways that aren't like directly obvious, and so people miss them. I will give you an example. Someone's looking for our Yeezys again, right? You search for shop Yeezys online. That click on Google search engine is $40. I don't know. High competition, really expensive. But rarely do you buy even a Yeezy the day you first search for it. You're going to look around.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if Yeezys are still a shoe, right? This may not be a thing anymore. I don't know, but shoes in general.
It's like you got to go, find some resellers. I've got 3 pairs. One of them's covered in forklift grease. Story for another day. But.
There you go. So, but whatever, right? A fungible good here.
Sure.
Now, I've searched for it, and then on YouTube, I can find everybody who searched for Yeezys or Adidas or Nike or anything for 30 days after the search.
Yep. Okay.
So I can remarket you on YouTube based off your Google search history. But then I can also say things like, hey, are you following, pick your urban streetwear influencer on YouTube? That means you are actually more likely to buy an expensive sneaker than I'm a 43-year-old dad of 3. Right? I don't even know who made my sneakers. Whatever was cheap at the shoe store when I went in. Right? I'm not even dadcore fashion. I'm just married, busy, who's given up on life fashion. So, I'm not your buyer. But if I was following urban fits, if I was following streetwear fashion, like all of these things, and watching their content, actually I kind of, even though I might not look like it, now I start to look more like your buyer. So I can target by both of those things. I can even target by search history, YouTube channel. You have to have at least 10. You can't just have one channel. YouTube channel sub-history, and the apps you've installed on your Android phone if you're an Android user. You might discover I need people who are really powerful. I don't know, they use the Waze app instead of Google Maps because this indicates that you are living in a higher income neighborhood. I don't know, but you can find these weird intersection of a Venn diagram and target them on YouTube. And then you say, great, I need to build your confidence first. I need to get reach into this audience where people are going to see me before I ever ask them to buy from me. Or they're going to see user-generated content about me before I ever ask them to buy from me. And so you do what is a reach campaign on YouTube. And you put a small spend behind it, a couple $100 a month. And this is going to show your ad to as many people as it can. And you're going to make your ad a YouTube short. I'm calling this an ad, but pay attention. This is content, right? This is you doing thought leadership, or this is user-generated content saying, this is an awesome thing. This is not saying, buy from me. Your content establishes your thought leadership. If you go check out Crowd Tamers content on YouTube or on LinkedIn, all of it is, if you have a marketing problem, here is how you solve it. None of it is by hiring me. Right? I'm just showing you I know my stuff, kind of like this podcast. And then from there, you go, well, Trevor knows his stuff. Then I've got my broad reach campaign, right? Then I have a second campaign set up. It's a remarketing campaign, which is, actually, wait, I missed a step. So I've got my content coming out. It is my organic content. The best organic content every month I put into my broad reach campaign. Right? You want to be posting every day, ideally, so that you can find the hits. Right?
Weekends included. Are you posting weekends as well?
You don't have to. B2B, I wouldn't do weekends. B2C, I would, because it depends on your audience.
People are idle time. Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. Like I don't publish on the weekends because I sell to businesses, and even if you were, you're on YouTube on the weekends, but I don't want to talk to you on the weekends. So go. You're taking your content, you're looking for the wins, right? Doing 5x, 10x, or better, your average. So like me, I have 125 subs on YouTube. If you go check out Crowd Tamers, it's at launch today on YouTube. 125 subs. No one is subscribed to me. I'm getting 25 to 40,000 views a month because my ads are YouTube short. This is important. A YouTube short ad, if it's a good short, and you know it's a good short because it's the one that performed better organically,
Yep.
If people watch that ad all the way to the end on YouTube, YouTube algo goes, oh, you liked this person's content, I'll show you more. So for every view I pay for, I get a free view. I was talking to somebody the other day, yesterday, who has phenomenal ad creative. His ads are hilarious. I'm not a funny enough person to do that. He 100% is. For every view he pays for, he gets 3 free views.
That's incredible.
Because people love his ads. They're just hilarious. Phenomenal. Great, right? So YouTube CPMs are already low. And then when you divide by 2 or by 4, they're even lower.
Yeah.
So the reach gets out there. That's one ad campaign. The next one is...
One of the things, before you continue, I remember when we first talked about this, you mentioned how you would not immediately see this in your ad reporting inside of YouTube. Is that, did I capture that correctly?
Yeah. So you do your organic content for basically a month, right? And then at the end of that first month, or if you're running content now, you have archival data already. You pick out the best from the last 30 days, and then you start advertising. So if you're starting up from scratch, the first month is no ad spend. The first month is content creation. And I'll talk in a minute about how you do this, because it only takes me, well, that's a lie. It takes my team about 7 hours a month to make my content. I put in 1 hour a month. My team puts in about 6. And doing it that way means I can post every day without spending 2 or 3 hours a day making the content, which I would not do. I'm too busy. So, okay, you've got your first campaign is pure reach. Your second campaign is some other videos, not the same as your first campaign, but other good content videos. And you show this to only people who have seen the videos in your first ad set. Now you know they've seen at least 2 videos. Now you run an actual commercial to people who were in the second ad set. So you have 3 ad sets. One is pure reach, one is remarketing off the reach, the third is remarketing off the remarketing. So you've built, you think of a funnel, much as I hate the term funnel, really broad in the beginning, remarketing audience, and then remarketing of the remarketing. 1, 2, 3. The third one, if you check out Crowd Tamers, my commercial is preposterous. It is a 15-minute pre-roll ad. Do not do this. It's a 15-minute pre-roll ad. 76% of people watch it all the way to the end. And if you go, you can go watch it. It's my channel trailer. You go, actually, you'll see it.
I did watch
28
it.
seconds. It's not that good.
And what's funny about this? So it's not even funny. It's actually fantastic. It's 15 minutes long, which I love, like VSLs that can get you that are that long at all. Like there's some audacity that's required to do that, and I respect the people that do longer videos. Sure. The second piece that I think is really fascinating, you said it's like you have so many people. What is it, 76% of people actually stay all the way to the end. The third element of why I think that's so magical is that it's a pre-roll ad. They are actively choosing to watch something else, and then they stick around for 15 minutes to watch your advertisement all the way through. So that means you've built up a very tremendous amount of this parasocial relationship. They have the confidence that you speak about, so much so that they're willing to spend 15 minutes that they were going to spend elsewhere watching, I don't know what channels you're running in front of, but like, I don't know, Mr. Beast content, but like...
I'm running these against Greylock Ventures, Y Combinator, Sequoia Capital, A16Z.
There you go.
So you were going to go learn something. And then you go, oh, well, I guess I'll learn this instead. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's the reason. If I was running against, I don't know, Late Tonight with Stephen Colbert, right? Like, people wouldn't watch my video because they want to watch someone be funny, not someone teach them something. But I'm running in front of educational content for startups, and that's what this is. So they go... hot damn, I wanted this, but not from you, but okay, well, hang out. Yeah. So that was also important, right? If I was running this, if I wanted to run against some other type of channel, I have to match that type of content. Right. Because this is what they wanted. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, you build this, and the third video drives folks, in my case, to come to my website and book a call. And I get really high uptick on folks who come. It's actually my highest conversion channel is YouTube. Because if you've watched 3 of my videos at least, and one of them was preposterously long, and then you booked with me, You don't come into this saying, what do you do, Trevor? You don't even come into this saying, hey, can you help me, Trevor? You come in saying, I know what you do. I want the help you can provide. Tell me how much it costs.
Yep.
And because my agency makes heavy use of AI and automations, the things I used to charge $30 a month for, I now charge $5 to $7 a month for. So startup founders go, oh, I can afford to work with you, Trevor. And I'm like, awesome, then let's go. Right? And that's the whole built with intent. Now, if you're not in the agency world, you're in the e-com world, this still works. I developed this system when I was working for Good Old Games, a video game distributor. Their average sale price was $9.99, and they took 30% of that. So they made $3 a sale.
Oh, wow.
And this still works there. The caveat for this was we had an email list of anywhere from 1 to 4 million, depending on what I'm talking about. And that gave us remarketing of our current base for customers. That gave us free, I'll put it in air quotes, revenue off of email sends. That gave us a bunch of ways to use data and these engines. If you go check out, and you can go find Good Old Games' channel, while I was there, we did trailers for every single video game we released. We made them because these video games didn't have trailers. So it was me recording audio over some gameplay footage. And we would then take those and run those as broad reach. Just, hey, these games exist. And there's the GOG logo in the bottom corner. You can buy them from us, of course. And then if you watched a couple of these, we would then say, hey, there's also 7 free games if you sign up with GOG right now. And so that same 1, 2, 3, and we were dropping, we were doing millions of dollars a year. We were dropping I think $5,000 a month on ads at that point. But
crazy.
I know, that's still not a big spend, right? Dropping $5,000 a month on ads.
That's nothing.
And getting hundreds of signups a week for the free game.
Yeah.
And then we knew I had all the math worked out. You sign up for the free game, I've got 4 days to get you to buy 1 game. If you buy 1 game, I've got 2 weeks to get you to buy 3. If you buy 3, you will tend to buy 7. And that was that was the sequence we ran through. And we'd get about 20% of people to end up buying 7. And so at that point, we go from making $3 to making 21, which is still not a lot of money, but it was enough where the engine made sense.
Yeah. I love this so much, and that example specifically because it shows, hey, here's how you were able to take the principles you just spent the last 20 minutes talking about into a specific angle. To connect some dots for some of our audience, let's say you're one of the many beauty companies that work with us. There's so many beauty creators that you could be running content to, like pre-roll ads. So making YouTube shorts just on, hey, here's how to apply your foundation in a certain way, and then the product that you're using is your own product. Cool, great. That's your short. Then you've got your longer pre-roll. That's a bigger thing. The full production, whatever you want. But there's so many different opportunities here. And Trevor, one of the reasons why selfishly I was really excited to have you on was I spent a lot of time talking to people that run on Meta and Google, but Google Shopping, not so much YouTube. And YouTube in the DTC Shopify space, for whatever reason, seems like this very... I don't think people realize the full value of it. They're starting to. But in the aggregate, I don't think there's enough knowledge and kind of appreciation for how powerful the platform is. And this structure, this kind of framework that you've outlined, especially with the budgets that you really need to start getting success, which is not much at all. Again, a couple $100 a month. I think for me, it gives me confidence that people that are listening, and also for us at Replo, and for myself for some other things, we can go do this. So I just wanted to interject and say this is so universally applicable, and I know this to be true. I know this is universally applicable because I had a conversation with Trevor literally 7 days ago, and then I went back to the Replo team, and we're actually going to implement pretty much this identical strategy in our own ad account. So for one of the first times, we'll actually be able to, like, the next time Trevor comes on, we'll probably just like share the results, which is exciting. And then I'm, kind of like independent of Replo, just for like fun. I've got like a little school community coming out, and this is the same funnel that I will use for that as well. So like, this is universally applicable. I've got some friends that I told this to that sell supplements. They're going to start using it. Like, this is so versatile. I'll let you get back to it, but I just had to interject because I it's something that I really wanted to reiterate to everyone listening. This is so incredibly practical.
Thank you. Let me give 2 other use cases here for people listening to understand like how I use this, because I built, as I mentioned, 119 or so of these engines in the last 4 years, right? And the way I use this, minimum viable sprints are your pioneer. They're your way to go see which route forward I take. I developed this whole minimum viable sprint methodology at that video game company because the email system that we had was written by, this was a Polish company, and 2 Polish devs wrote basically one giant cron job that starts at the first email that ever signed up and runs to the end and doesn't do anything except send the email. There was no configuration of any kind. And like a modern software would say, hey, let's send you 10% of the list, find what's your better subject line, and then send 90% of the list that one. We couldn't do it. So instead, what I would do was we sent every Wednesday, every Friday, we'd send to 1 million, 2 million, 4 million, whatever people. The difference between a good subject line and a bad subject line would be like 40 grand.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, I want to know how up front, I want to know what a good subject line is. And so on Monday, we would run ads testing 4 different subject lines to a remarketed audience of our users. And whichever one got the best clicks, we'd be like, well, that is going to be the one that gets the best clicks.
Yeah.
And so we did test initially for like 6 weeks. We would do the 4 ads, and then what the winning ad was, we'd also actually redo 4 subject lines. We'd try all 4, which involved sending to a quarter of the list, stopping the send, changing the like, this was very, very jankily done. But what we learned was within 0.8% correlation coefficient. So that's not perfect congruity, but it's quite strong. The ad that performed best on Meta was the ad that performed, or the subject line performed best on email. And so we would every Monday buy for the Wednesday newsletter, every Wednesday buy for the Friday one. And the users of our community, the really savvy ones, started to realize if they would check out our page on YouTube and refresh a bunch to get the ads to serve to them, they would know what the upcoming sales were. Right? They were doing it for research. I mean, fine. Yeah. These were, when you're selling video games, and particularly, these were 20-year-old video games for download, right? At the time, they were 20 years old. So, like, these are people who are hardcore nerds. I'm a hardcore nerd. This is my tribe. I love these people. But definitely, you give them a way to find an exploit, they will use it. So, okay, cool. If we'd had better tech, we would have probably found a less exploitable way. But it gave us such clear insight. At the end of that first year I did this, the accounting team came in. They're like, what's this line item in the budget? You spent like, I mean, it was, I guess, $500 a week for, so that's, what is that, 20 grand, right? You spent 20 grand and you made $0. You're a failure of a marketer. What are you doing? Yeah. And I'm like, well, go look at the line item over here where I show you the delta between what we would have gotten and what we did get on email. You made like $360K off of that $20K spend. They went, oh, never mind. Please keep doing that. I'm like, you're damn right I will. So that's one, right? But then the other thing is, when you're going to do a big marketing campaign, that you're going to align together, I don't know, you've got influencers and you're doing PR spend and you've gotten approval. This is maybe a new feature for your site. Like, a lot is coming together. And then as a marketer, that's when you get to the ulcer, right? Is you've got 4 months of work going into this launch and you're like, oh God, it's launching tomorrow. Oh, I'm sick to my stomach. Oh, I hope it goes well. I'm fired. Like, you've got that worry. But what if 4 months ago, before you did all of this work, you launched a couple minimum viable sprints and you knew, oh, hey, this ad to this audience got a 4% click-through rate. It's in the top 0.1% of ads ever run on Meta. This is going to go well. Then you don't have that worry anymore. Now you might go, oh, I've got a big successful brand. I can't test my messaging ahead of time. People will find out, like I mentioned for GOG. Yeah. So what you do is you build a Facebook page for a business that doesn't exist. And then you run the ads for that made-up business, and you don't mention the brand name on it. And then you see which appeal works for that made-up business, and nobody will know it's you. Like, if you're that paranoid, go do that. You still get the data with no risk of a leak. I know particularly publicly traded companies are particularly averse to this. I own a website called littlelandingpages.com. And when I have a client who won't run on their brand, great, I'll put a landing page together. I'll make them the new Facebook ad account. Away we go. Right? That way we can test things without information bleeding over. And like you do this, and you start to do this. I just did a webinar, actually a course with a company called CXO Marketing. And after I ran the course, the marketers at CXO Marketing were all like, holy crap, we've watched your course. We're now rolling this out in how we do all of our marketing. Because it's so cheap, it's so fast, and it is so, as you mentioned, Sanjay, universally applicable. So, if you're listening, whatever thing you want to do, this is the middle of Feb, whatever thing you want to do, 1st of March, test it tomorrow. It requires no effort to test this, right? You've already got a Meta Ads account. Open up Figma, design ad units with no graphics, just words, and YOLO it. You're going to learn something, I promise you.
YOLO it. This is the tagline for this will be YOLO it. It's Chad Scale City over here. I love this. I really do. It's like my fiance. She runs like an affiliate marketing kind of education program, and again, like I had the last conversation with you. Took this to her. Like we're gonna run it on her program. This is so universally applicable, and you know. When you were explaining like, hey, like, you know, the minimum viable kind of sprints philosophy just now, I was thinking back to the reason why I got into like internet money at all was because I read Tim Ferriss at a young age. A 4-hour work week came out, and I, you know, it was like, oh man, I'm going to be a Lambo owner on the beach. Don't own a Lambo, don't live on the beach, but you know, hey, we're close. But one of the things he said in that book was, or in one of his blog posts was he ran Google ads testing different titles for the book, and then after he got the title nailed down, he tested different cover art, and it was like the 23rd iteration, and then like more recently, if you want like a recent example, so that was back in 2005, 6, 7, 8. More recent example, Alex Hormozy does this too, and he just does it on his Instagram story. And so it's like, hey, here's what title do you like better, and then what image do you like, and what's the combo. And so that's the same philosophy that's being applied here. These are truly first principles, like methods being shared. And again, if you're listening to this and you aren't like just ready to go YOLO stuff, find God. I don't know, like just like because this is the most tactical this podcast could ever get, and that's the whole point. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to like run. I feel so convicted in what you've taught, Trevor, that I'm going to go put my own dollars on my own projects. Like I run like a car newsletter for fun and like all these sorts of things. Like there's a lot of different things that like we can do here, and so I'm so convicted that I'm going to run my own money that I'm not getting sponsorship dollars or anything to say this. So in the last like 10 minutes or so, last handful of minutes of our time together, what would you say are some like maybe common pitfalls to avoid, or do you have any like tool like let's say this, if you were to, someone's committed to YOLOing but they don't know like the best first step, what's the best first step that they should take?
Okay, so there are two things I would show as pitfalls here. One of them is Meta is an absolute, I mean, I'm not going to swear on your podcast, but they're an SOB, right? They are complete ratfinks as far as you set up with them, and they will instantly, like, you run an ad for 8 seconds and they'll be like, banned.
Yes.
Like I had a client who was selling software to realtors, right? Okay. Selling software to people who sell houses. We did demographic targeting. We don't want to sell software to people who sell houses who are over the age of 60, because odds are pretty high You're not going to use a new software. You're old. This is not your, but Meta went, you can't target housing ads on age. That's discrimination. It's against federal law. And banned the account. And I'm like, but what? That was not, who? Or I did for a colorectal telemedicine company.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was specifically LGBTQIA friendly. The founder himself was gay. We ran it, and wow, I mean, you want to see how fast you get, not just like your ad account banned, but Facebook banned my account.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no. And so I went, this is fine. I'm going to have an ADA lawyer sue you because you're discriminating against gay people. They went, we're very sorry. Please resume the ads. But so Facebook is like, they will whack you. There is, unless you're going to get a lawyer involved, no recourse. You're just screwed. So
you're zucked, as I always say that I get zucked.
Yeah. It is for Zuck's sake. Yes. So when you launch, that might happen to you. What you can do is all the ideas you want to validate on YouTube, you can either validate, not on YouTube, on Meta. You can validate on LinkedIn if you're B2B, or even on YouTube. It won't be quite as fast. It won't be quite as affordable. I would go maybe $150 per sprint instead of $100. But if you get blocked, Google is more reasonable, LinkedIn more reasonable. So I would go to other places as well. The other thing is, there's as you learn knowledge, like your confidence in it goes up. As you just begin, you're like, oh, I'm smart. Then you go, oh, wait, I'm an idiot. Then you come back up again.
Yeah.
And with this, it is such a weird thing to do for most marketers. You're in the e-com marketing space. If you tell your marketers, right, you sell beauty products. You've got a marketing team. You say, hey, this guy with his mustache said minimum viable sprints, go check it out. They're going to say, this is ludicrous, this is insane, this will never work, because he's optimizing for the click, which is an idiot's game. And yes, but, right, as a marketer, you've gone up the curve, you've gone down, and your knowledge of marketing might be really good, but your knowledge of this particular tactic, because almost no one in the world does this, is going to be in that slough of despond. And so your marketing team might tell you, this is insane. We will not do it. My answer has consistently been for those people, it's $200 or $300. Let's give it a try.
Yeah.
If your ad spend is, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a day, put $200 in. You might learn something, or you might go, yeah, actually, Trevor's an idiot. Okay. Either way, you've learned a thing. The real point of a minimum viable sprint is, I am wrong 90% of the time. I've been doing marketing at the C-suite level for 15 years, and in general for 25 years. I'm still wrong 90% of the time. But if I'm wrong for $100. And when I'm right for 100,000.
Yep.
And you want to make it that way. Be wrong all the time. Be wrong all the time at low stakes. Find the right way to move forward and go on. And so you can get discouraged. You've run 5 minimum viable sprints and nothing popped. Yeah, no worries. Even if you're really good at this, you're only halfway to success. And when this is your first time doing it, you might do 20 times. You're out $2,000. If you're running 4 sprints at a time, which you 100% could do, you're out 2 weeks, right? Embrace the failure. Realize it doesn't look like, oh, I've done it twice and I won. You do it 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, and then you find the thing. And when you find the thing, then you put the gas onto that and you grow it. And that's where you build a dependable $1 million marketing engine to bring us back to the top.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, the eagle has landed. And it's about time. It's about time to roll up your sleeves, start click-clacking, start testing some stuff. Trevor, I just got to say once more, thank you so much for being so generous with your time and also your knowledge. I know that I learned a lot, and that's why I do this podcast selfishly. If you don't know, if you're listening, the reason I actually do this is because I want to learn stuff. And it's really easy to get people to tell you stuff if you have a podcast.
Yes, indeed.
But no, seriously, I'm really grateful that you like this is like, Prometheus bringing us fire kind of thing. I think it's that kind of that meaningful. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your knowledge.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go test this out in a couple of different things. I'll have stuff to report back on. We're going to make sure that, how can people find you? Before we jump off, how can people find you?
Sure. So crowdtamers.com. You find me there. There's a big green button that says let's chat if you want to talk. I'm on LinkedIn. There's literally only one Trevor Longino. That's Longino. If you Google me, I think the first 6 pages are me. You'll know it's me because the mustache.
There you go.
So there you go.
Did you do the mustache as like your is that your signature your signature look?
So I own chiefmustacheofficer.com. And if you go Google it, you'll find a website with this face on it. And
that's fantastic.
The idea being, it's CMO, Chief Mustache Officer. I'm like, oh, look at the big brain on me. And it is like everybody who meets me remembers me, right?
Yeah.
Which that's a story that cuts 2 ways, because I'll go to trade shows and they're like, Trevor, and I'll be like, guy, dude, person.
Yes.
Because I don't have a great memory for faces or names, sadly.
Yes.
So
I do. I hit them with the Midwest U.S. Hey, buddy, which I've just recently learned is kind of fighting words for some people. So I'm like,
it
hey,
depends.
friend. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not trying to be like derogatory when I use buddy, but I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I totally have met you before in my life that I remember.
Exactly.
But again, that's the point of building parasocial relationships. I've gotten recognized a couple times now where people are like, yeah, I know you because I've watched 14 of your Replo YouTube videos.
Wow,
I'm like, oh, okay. Nice. So you spent a lot of time with me. I have no idea who you are. But Trevor, thank you so much.
Sir.
We're going to make sure that all the links are in the show notes. It's going to go out to our newsletter. We're going to make some content here. But this has been one of the most tactical episodes of this podcast, is what I hoped for. And you delivered time and time again. We're going to have you on again soon. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. Take care, everybody. Go on and experiment.